computer. Okay.
Are you okay?
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is Steve from the 8BG, and I'm here with my co-host, the Sturlmeister, and we are the 8-bit generation, and you're watching the 8BGCAST. As always, if you hear this, if you're watching this video and you like this, please like, subscribe, and share. Helps out tremendously.
Yeah, we just need to put these out more so people can actually see them and listen to them.
Yeah, we definitely do. We got to work a little hard on that. I feel like that's the mantra for every episode, but hey.
It is.
Yeah. And I got to say, you are rocking that 8BG hat.
I am. It's kind of fresh. I probably wore it like 2 times.
Looks good.
Yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyway, so let's talk about video games because that's why we're here, right? We're here to talk about games we've been playing, what's going on in the gaming industry, and the like. So, well, you know what? I'll start off because I feel like my games are I feel like it's been like the last 3 months has been the same, only because I've been stuck on the 3DS store, downloading stuff.
I've been buying.
Yeah, I've been buying like crazy. And it's weird. I don't know why I'm just buying like so many.
Because you just feel like you may never have a chance to play some of these again. So you just want to have them just in case.
Yeah. And I feel like some games just kind of like work on that kind of platform compared to like buying it on a console. Like, for example, a game I was recently playing, Shakedown Hawaii.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's essentially, I think it's made by the same people who made Retro City Rampage.
Okay.
Yeah, it's essentially kind of like a GTA, old school GTA clone, like, when it was a top-down perspective and you kind of go around the city and use like a C-stick to shoot and everything like that. So it's an open world top-down perspective game. And it is really, really fun. Like, it has such witty dialogue. So essentially you play this guy who's kind of like stuck in the 80s. He's an old guy who's stuck in the 80s, and the world's just passing him by with like, streaming and all these other companies, like, all these modern things. And it makes reference to like a lot of that stuff. So he's losing a lot of business to these new technologies and he's upset about it. So his job is to like ruin these businesses. So his old school method of business can thrive. So he sabotages streaming companies. He'll, sabotage like vans like Amazon type vans and things like that. It's very tongue-in-cheek, and for a game that's like I didn't really expect it, it's very funny. But I've been playing that, and I've been playing on the 3DS, and it just suits the 3DS perfectly because it's handheld and it's just like it's great.
Are you the same kind of person that would find like Retro City Rampage's dialogue funny? Because it is tongue-in-cheek, but it's like, okay, I get it. You're like overly whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You probably, I don't know.
I
played a little bit of it, and I wasn't a big fan of the dialogue because it was like, I get it. It's like, okay, it's a joke. The whole thing's like you're whatever kind of protagonist. We get it. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know, they're trying too hard.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Retro City Rampage, but I didn't really play it all the way through. I think again, I think because of the way Shakedown Hawaii presents itself, because I think Retro City Rampage is more of an 8-bit top-down perspective type of game, whereas whereas Shakedown Hawaii is more in a 16-bit. So it's a little bit more palatable in terms of like, seeing what's going on. I feel like it looks a little bit better, and that kind of
probably a spiritual sequel.
Yeah, definitely a spiritual sequel. But I think the dialogue, I'm playing Shakedown. I think the dialogue is just hilarious. I feel like if you play it, I think you'll like it because there's like a very cynical humor to it all, which is like hilarious to me. But so this has been like 3DS games, just downloading them and playing them, and that's pretty much about it. I also been playing the Ocarina of Time 3D remake, remaster, which I actually enjoy. It kind of makes me forget how great Ocarina of Time was, so that's kind of cool.
Maybe I'll buy that. I bought Majora's Mask actually, because that's the one Zelda game where I got like to the fourth. There's only 4 temples, and then I got like to the fourth one and just didn't finish it. So I kind of want to finish that game, so I might replay that. Also, it's like the weirder. It's one of the weirder Zeldas. But okay. So is that it for you? You've been playing?
What else? Any other 3DS games that's interesting to talk about? Not necessarily. Just dabbling games here and there, but that's pretty much it. I just been playing Shakedown Hawaii a lot, so I've been enjoying that.
Great content, great. So I've been playing quite a few games. I've been playing some 3DS games as well. I bought Dragon Quest 8 for the 3DS because even though I played it, I never beat it, but I played it on PS2, and there's actually an iPhone version, which is fair to middling. This version has an extra character and things like that. And
wait, the 3DS version?
It's actually a little bit more expensive. And if you try to find a cartridge of it, it's like $150. So all Dragon Quest games, for whatever reason, are super expensive. I actually have one of the most expensive Dragon Quest games, which is Dragon Quest V on the DS. I have it. I think it's $200 or something it's going for.
Is it because it's a limited run, or is it because
they didn't sell crazy well, and they didn't print a lot of copies? And it's sad because it's one of the best RPGs ever made. I don't go that far saying that.
You would say 5 is the best RPG ever made?
Yeah, Dragon Quest V is ridiculously good in terms of, from a narrative perspective, it tells one of the best stories. And the funny thing about Dragon Quest is it never does like these out crazy cinemas. It tells everything through dialogue and gameplay. And the dialogue, it's just text box, but it was some of the way the story is told is so powerful. It's one of those things where I can't tell anybody because of the spoilers for it. You can't tell anybody even some of the best. Yeah, you can tell, you're a kid and your dad's looking for the hero and this, and your dad's really strong, and there's a lot to it, but it does what a lot of people try to do, which is subvert your expectations, but in a very creative and like fantastic way. It's and there's moments of like that are really sad and things like that it does well for a game that's.
And when was it originally released?
It was originally released like in 1991 or 92 for Super Famicom. It never came over here.
Super Famicom, so that's our equivalent.
The original game looks like shit, though. I won't lie. Like graphically, it's still a great game, but graphically, it almost looks like an NES game on the Super Famicom. But this remake takes the original Dragon Quest 7 engine. It's like that. That's how Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6 look on the DS. They look like they all have the same engine and stuff. But oh my god, 5 is fantastic. But so I picked up Dragon Quest 8. I picked up some other random cheap, made sure I got both of the Zelda games for Game Boy Color. Just Oracle
of Time and Oracle of Seasons,
Oracle
right?
of Ages. Seasons, yeah.
So that's interesting. I'm surprised they never re-released those in any other platforms.
What do you mean?
There's no release on them on any.
Those are. I mean, the Game Boy Zelda games are kind of stuck on Game Boy, except for the remake of Link's Awakening. They've always been just stuck there. Similar like Minish Cap. It's stuck. I mean, you can get that on the
Wii U.
The Wii U. But whatever. So it's kind of they could always go back and dig it up and remake it. They probably will. So let's get to some of the games I've been playing that are of more consequence, I guess you could say.
More consequence? So
you don't
think that Shakedown Hawaii is of consequence? I think you'll change your mind once you play it.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see if I ever touch that.
I guarantee you're gonna laugh like crazy.
Yeah, because we have the same sense of humor.
I mean, my sense of humor is better, but
Yeah, okay, subjective, but okay. So I've been playing a whole lot of Switch.
Okay.
The system that I poo-pooed. We already went through this, but then you were the champion, and I have to come around on my opinion of it. It is. It still has all the issues that I've said of it before, but if you can look past those, like it being too small to hold, and sometimes it hurts to hold, and battery life ain't great. But if you can look past all that, there's some really great shit to be found on that thing. So let's talk about some Switch games real quick.
All right, let's do
it.
Or
not real quick. I bought WarioWare. What's it? WarioWare Get It Together. Which is the latest WarioWare game for Switch.
Mm-hmm.
It's multiplayer, and it's WarioWare on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit it's kind of oddly a little more difficult than the other WarioWares, because in other WarioWares you just hit a button and it kind of corresponds to an action that the character on screen might do or whatever. In this one, you have different characters that you can pick, and they are in the game and they have to interact with the game by you controlling them. So, like a WarioWare old game might be jump, and then you hit A and the character jumps. This time is your character you have to control a character that has to jump or something like that. It's a little weird. It's a little different.
So it's because I'm trying to I kind of understand this. So you have to control a character that has a jump. So
that's in the middle, in the micro game, in the little, you have to control a character.
Okay, so it's like almost like a meta, like you're playing someone who has a control.
Well, you're literally controlling a character in the game instead of you have
full control.
You have full control over a character. Each character has a different move or can't do something that, like, one character can't move at all. Mm-hmm. He has to shoot. That's his special. So he has to, whatever. So there's different way, and so you can beat every mini game with different characters. So in that way, it expands kind of how you can play the 200 plus games. However, I don't know if I'm the biggest fan. I really enjoyed the old way the WarioWare games were. And so sometimes controlling these characters, I found myself a lot of times confused at how these games come at you 5 seconds. So a lot of times I'm like, I don't even know what to do, because I have a character that I have to think about how he's supposed to interact with these 5-second mini games. Whereas before I knew I could just hit a button and see something happen or hit, you know what I'm saying? So
it's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah. So I failed a lot more in that game than normal. Plus the story mode, you have to pick 3 characters and it randomly switches which ones you use per game. So you get a few seconds to see which character comes up, and then you're like, okay, now, so you have to select your 3 characters, and then usually it's one character that you're forced to use that's like a new character to introduce you to. So some can only shoot one direction, one rides a skateboard and can't stop. There's a lot, like, they all have these weird gimmicks.
That sounds interesting.
It is interesting. It's just, for me, I'd just rather play a regular
like the jump kind of mini game where
my favorite is still the original. I think that's like one of the best ones. Twisted one was good too on the Game Boy Advance that had the twist thing in it.
Yeah, I've been playing the WarioWare Gold on a 3DS.
Did you buy that? Because I'm debating on buying it.
I might buy it, but I think I might buy a used copy instead. Because I was thinking about buying it to the system, but it's
$40. I don't want to spend the $40. I feel like it's not worth $40.
It never goes. It won't go on sale. I don't think that's a game that's going to go on sale.
No, it's not. Nintendo games. So even this one, I bought it like 45 or 50. It was actually on sale on Switch or whatever for like a little while. So I was like, I might as well get this instead. Yeah. It's newer, and but
I was saying that as you mentioned, like the gameplay in the Warrior, at least the WarioWare
Gold is
I was playing.
Is
just like
it's the old fun. Yeah, it's the old. That's the one, because that's very similar to the old school WarioWare, which I actually think Gold is basically like almost like a greatest
remaster.
Hits. It's like a greatest hits of all. And I might, just because I find that funner than what I've been playing so far on. But there's a lot of content apparently in Get It Together, where there's like I said, there's still a lot of characters to unlock. There's all these little modes. There's like a online high score chase thing. So there's a competitive aspect, and it's 2 players. So, maybe with somebody else, it might be a little fun. And it's a game where I could like introduce it to my girlfriend and she could kind of get it right away, because they don't make it that difficult. So so I've been playing that. Let's get to the 2 meaty games I've been playing, which you'll have some opinions on.
Okay, let's see.
First one is Mario. We never talked about me playing Mario
Odyssey.
Yeah,
we talked about it a little bit, but have you? Yeah, we talked
Did we talk
about
about it on a podcast?
We talked about it on a podcast. You said you bought
Oh.
it and you started playing a little bit, and you're kind of iffy on where it stands. You have to play it some more.
Oh, how much? Well, maybe did I play it only a little bit?
I don't think you really got really. It didn't sound like you got really far last time we spoke about it, but I
Okay,
know you.
so
I know you did. You started playing it.
I think I stopped after New Donk City.
Oh yes, you said that. You was kind of like
okay. So then we don't need to talk about that. So
you never finished that.
I haven't played it since,
bro. You kidding me?
I haven't played it since.
Or let me ask you a question. I'm trying to figure out because I mean I loved Mario Odyssey. I thought Mario Odyssey was one of my favorite Mario games of all time.
That's good.
Granted, there's certain games I haven't played yet. like the Galaxy games, as I mentioned before.
They're the best.
So I know you like those. So I think maybe there's a gap somewhere.
We're gonna be biased going into it anyway. You're gonna be biased.
I mean, listen, I'm totally open to when I play Mario Galaxy. I actually have the games. I just haven't dedicated time to playing them. So I have the games available to play. I just haven't done it yet. But it'd be interesting to see that perspective. So I definitely think we can talk that revisit that in the future. But I would definitely encourage you to play.
I'm gonna play it.
Play and beat it because I think it's great. I think the ending. Wait till you play the ending. I want to see where you stand after that. Maybe that might change your mind.
Okay. I'm gonna play it. The issue is there's a reason I stopped playing it though.
Okay, what's the reason?
Because I started playing this other game that I'm also very behind in and took me forever to play.
I think I know what it is. Can I take a guess?
Yes.
Breath of the Wild.
You're damn right.
There you go.
Did you beat that?
No. You know why I didn't beat that? Because I ended up getting stuck at a temple and I just kind of said, I'll put it down. I'll come back to it later. I never did.
Okay. So I am at the end. Like I can just go to Ganon and fight him. You can go to Ganon anytime, but I can go to Ganon. I got all the spiritual beast things. I have the Master Sword, and I got 13 hearts or whatever, 14 hearts, whatever you need.
So it sounds like you're all beefed up.
I am beefed up. This game, I have so much to say about this game because when I first played it, I hated it. I said, this is not Zelda. This is like them. Oh, this is like a survival weird type. I don't know. This isn't my Zelda. I'm not going to different big temples and getting new items and things like that. This cooking is all that stuff. And I just said, I can't get into this. So then I took some time to play. Like I just said, let me just play and just do stuff. I don't know. Let's see what this game is. And it started with finding temples, right? You're searching for temples, solving temples, then getting a little stronger. And then I don't know. I just couldn't stop playing. I started figuring things out. I started understanding how the game works more. And I started getting used to the things I did not like about the game, which is the weapons breaking is the worst thing. And probably I don't know what okay, let me get the stuff I don't like about it out the way. I don't like the temples. I don't like that there's 120 of them or whatever.
And so you don't like the ability to change, kind of do temples at your own pace. Like it's kind of like
no. I like the idea. I like the world. I don't like these short. Some of these temples are the inside. I get the idea of them. They're kind of like these quick. You don't have to spend all day on them. Usually each one takes like 5 to 10 minutes to beat if you can figure it out. And they are creative in the way they figure out. But that really is the chunk of the game. Instead of the old Zelda style. Now, you still got the 4 beast temples. They each have one. Those are the worst. I do not enjoy. The ideas behind them are cool, where you control the beast inside and it changes the way the thing. But sometimes it's not some of them are not intuitive in terms of how to solve whatever is going on because of the way the game works with its physics. Yeah. So the physics, if you can just get to a place, you can get to a place. They don't really care how you get there. So you can wonkily figure out how to solve all this stuff. But it didn't make me feel like, oh my God, I'm smart. I figured out a puzzle. It's I don't know. So that's one thing I don't like. And the other thing is the boss fights. The boss fights are incredibly disappointing.
Why do you say that for?
Well, it's in due part to the design of the game. So you at any point can be any boss. It depends on your skill level, really, not equipment or anything. Because once you get off the Great Plateau, you have everything you need, which is cool, and it's a cool idea in terms of, so sometimes you'll be like, oh, how do I beat this? And then you realize it's something you have on you can help you defeat whatever monsters or whatever you're facing. However, it's due to the way the game is, where enemies, like in Zelda games, usually you have to find a boss's weak spot or something like that. In this game, you just have to attack them. That's it. You have to, and you can just use any kind of attack you have. You can use arrows, you can use this, you can use whatever. So a lot of times they're not challenging. The game is challenging in some weird ways, and in other ways, it's like once you figure out how to cook the best meals that give you the most hearts, you can never die. I mean, you can take a lot of damage at points too, but there is a mechanic which I didn't know that kind of prevents you from dying. A lot of times, if you take like a lot of damage, you'll just have like half a heart left or something like that instead of dying. So the battles in the game, like the boss battles, good music, all this stuff, but instead they roll over, and even the ones that people said were hard, like the Thunderblight Ganon was supposed to be one of the harder ones because how fast it was. It was cool how fast it was, but it didn't take me. Like I figured it out eventually, and then I just beat him. And he was the last one I fought. Usually they say like the more enemies you defeat, the harder the game gets after you hit like a certain experience points level or whatever. However, there are difficult battles in the game. Usually they come in the form of fucking regular enemies. Those Lionel things that are just roaming around, like those things are way funner to fight than any boss.
The ones with lasers, right? Those
the Minotaurs that have like
yes
that run. Yeah, I fought like a silver one, and it had like 8,000 health or something, and it was just like it was a battle. Like I had to use all my items, and the
AI is pretty good on that. I like the AI.
The
AI is very intelligent. Like it makes it very fun. It feels like a natural fight when you're fighting these enemies.
Because you can't, like after a while you can't do certain, like you used to be able to throw bombs at them, and then after a while they get smart and they kick them away. Exactly. They start like doing things like that. The way the physics works in the game is incredible. Because there's so much creativity you can do. You can float items and drop them on enemies. You can do so much. As long as you can think of it, you most likely can do it. So not to spend too much time, because I could talk about it forever. I think I see why even with its shortcomings, with the breakable items, and it's so much fun to just drop in there and just see what the fuck happens. Running around, what's this? I've never seen a game like the map is so, the way they kind of give you breadcrumbs to first unlock all the towers so you can see the map. Then you can see things in the distance. Never in a game have I so much used a telescope just to be like, what's that? You can go over there. And that's the thing too. You can just go over there.
Anything you see can go. I agree with that too, because when I first played it, it was just like so big. It was almost like overwhelming in a way.
It is.
Like
it's in the beginning.
There's so much stuff to learn. And I feel like, I don't know if it's when I get older, but I feel like if I just can't start doing it right away, sometimes I, lose interest a little bit, because I'm just like, all right, there's so much stuff to learn and everything. But once you start doing it slowly, and then you start learning things like the whole cooking system, I'm like, oh, cooking, I don't like doing that. And then after a while, once you start getting a rhythm of what to do and what to make, and you start making some duds, it actually becomes really fun doing that. And so sometimes I always look for like anything I can get. Like I can stock up on all the stuff and start making food. And like you said, you'll make the best meals for to give you the most hearts, or temporary strength or stamina or something like that. So it's really, what's that word? It's very intuitive in terms of how they designed the game and how it's like it feels you naturally have to,
you have to give it some time. Because I remember when I was kind of feeling it in the beginning. Then I got off the Great Plateau with the whole world to explore, and they tell you like, okay, you can go here, but like that's it. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't really know. Like, then I ran into this giant stone talus thing that came up out of the ground in the beginning, and I was like, I tried to hit it, and he just babied me, and I said, "Oh, this is not fun to me. Like I'm fighting regular enemies, and they take like 4 hearts a hit, and I have like 3 hearts right now in the beginning." And so I felt just unprepared for everything. Like I felt like I don't know, it just didn't gel. But then people say it's a great game. You gotta great. So I let it happen, and it's that every Zelda game gets me to a point where I'm just playing it, and time is flying by, and I'm just not even realizing it. I don't care.
That's the beauty of gameplay, man.
Yeah, just one more temple because I'm almost enough hearts. I just need one more thing. I'm going around looking for temples. Then I get to a temple. It's like major test of strength. I'm like, oh, God damn it. But then, but once you figure that, once you like get strong enough to handle those, then, you're cool with that. There's so much in the game. You have to figure out a lot on your own.
Yeah, which is great.
But like I said, the combat is one of the strongest elements. And then sometimes when it comes to bosses, it's one of the weakest elements. Mm-hmm. I'm right at the end of the game. Part of me just doesn't want it to end. Because I know me, I'm not gonna go once I beat the game. I'm not gonna pick it up again. I'm just gonna.
Are you sure you're not gonna walk around kind of?
I know there's a lot of DLC. There's the master cycles.
Not even the DLC, but just like other things to complete around the world. Like I'm sure there's way more to see.
There's a lot because I think I probably have like 80 temples complete. So I'm still missing 40 of them. Mm-hmm. But to me, the temples. For me, I'm not a completionist. So if the temples, I will get the temples if I feel I need to get stronger, which I don't. So I don't feel like I need to go through them. I have max stamina because, max stamina is not hard to get. You need like, it's like 30, 40 temples. That's it. Max. So then I put the rest of hearts. Once you get enough hearts to get the Master Sword, you're pretty much good. The Master Sword is just broken. It's so strong.
Which is good. I think you definitely earned that. Once you get that, it's earned.
You earn it. Although it's so funny, glitch ways of picking it up without having the heart. It's funny. Mm-hmm. But so now I'm going towards. I got the Hylian shield is like the best shield in the game. I'm ready to go. I got some decent armor. Do I have the best stuff? No, but I have stuff where I'm like, I should be able to be all right because from all accounts, the last boss is ridiculously easy. So, for some of his forms are like maybe difficult, but like I said, I'm gonna have mad food and I'll be good. That's another thing too. They could have artificially made the game a little tougher by not letting you just eat everything at any time. Yeah. Like if he got full, imagine like how hard it would
pause be. And then
it's fine to me, but it's just like, oh, I got 100 apples. Let me eat them all. That's like weird. Yeah. For a game to be like where you could get struck by lightning for holding metal stuff too long. It's so weird that like, this guy can just eat 100 things.
I think they probably wanted a good balance because they didn't want to make it too hard because I think Nintendo loves that having a challenge and accessibility. Yeah. Like they like to have that fine line between that. So
yeah. Inventory management was an annoying thing too. Getting these that's another thing. It's too much shit in the game. Like the 900 Korok seeds.
Yeah.
When I heard there was like 900, I'm like, I don't want to do all it. Like, but fantastic game. Really glad I've got to experience it. It only gets stronger when I seen the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, the new game coming up. The first trailer when they show him diving in the sky and the music's playing, I was like, oh my God, I can't fucking wait. And now we're getting that soon, man.
It's crazy like how Breath of the Wild kind of revolutionized like this current generation. Because I feel like there's two things that kind of revolutionized this generation. Breath of the Wild as well as what is that called? Rogue shooters, roguelike games, like roguelike gameplay. I feel like we've like had so many of these type of game.
I was gonna say battle royales.
And, battle royales. Can't forget that. Yeah,
Breath of the Wild. Yeah, one of the biggest games now going is Genshin Impact, which I haven't really played, but it's definitely a lot more heavy RPG features, but. You literally have a character that can run and climb. I mean, the biggest thing in Breath of the Wild is the idea that you can climb anything, almost any surface, which is very weird. It's just never explained that he can just grab any surface and climb. It's kind of like crazy.
Got that skills, like so.
And then you know what? There is if you could say something, sometimes it's a little too much climbing. I'm glad I got the climbing gear, which helps me climb faster, but like. Man, you can be climbing all day, but that's part of the appeal.
Isn't this like also to a Sonic Frontiers? Isn't that kind of like similar to Breath of the Wild in a way?
I don't want to say necessarily. I know it's
open
open world
world, and you
Sonic,
can kind
but
of go wherever you want. And then I don't think there's any eating. I think it's more streamlined from what I've seen. But I feel
it
like
might be. I haven't seen too much of it.
yeah, but
I've
I
seen
wouldn't.
gameplay and stuff, but I don't know. I wouldn't say necessarily Breath of the Wild. I'd say just open world Sonic.
I think Breath of the Wild probably influenced it a little bit. They probably thought that, like, you know what?
If I see him climbing, I will say yeah.
No, that's for the Knuckles DLC.
Oh, there you go. The original climber.
All right, second, you can give me a check for that. All right, give me an idea.
So yeah, so I've been playing a whole lot of Breath of the Wild. There's been other stuff I've been playing that's not. I haven't been putting too much time into Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing, which I definitely want to, because I love Westerns. I need to get to that. And I've been playing Tales of the Arise, which is like the latest Tales game from Namco. It looks like it's going to be a good RPG. It's just, I have so many backlog games. It's like, it's overwhelming. Mm-hmm. It's like they could not release a game for 2 years and I need to quit my job and then maybe I'll be done and caught up. Like, don't you ever feel like this series where you just haven't played because you played too many other stuff? You can't get to every series. Everybody's telling you to play this and you can't.
I feel like after a while, like especially after I was able to like afford my own games, like ever since I was able to buy my own games,
that's when it started.
I'm like, I just had a backlog of games because remember, years ago I used to work at a game store, and I would just like oh, I have income and get a little discount so I can get these games. So I just started like getting games. I said, okay, I'll play this later, and it just continued to build and build and build and build. Yep. And I feel like now I have more games that are part of my backlog than I've been able to play.
I have over hundreds, like
and
these some of these are like high end. These are like little shitty games.
You know what's crazy? I bought Spider-Man for PS4 like a year before I was able to play it. Like that's how long my backlog is. Like I bought it and I didn't play it till a year later.
And it's on PC. I gotta get it because I want to play it.
It is magnificent. That game is incredible.
I had to wait for the PC because I want my 60 frames, or I want my ray tracing and I want my specialized graphics. I want it looking.
I'm sure you guys are probably going to get the Tom Holland version. The
whichever version, whatever. We can mod whoever we want. There's been people that modded like Walter White in there.
Like you should. I would definitely mod Andrew Garfield there.
Yeah, you would. Andrew Garfield fan over here.
Yeah, the best Spider-Man ever on live action.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fact.
So wait, okay, let's move on to
well, I was going to bring up one thing real quick. Did you see the announcement about 007 coming to consoles, the remake? They're finally
I read up about it. So it's coming on N64.
N64, which is weird. It's like almost like it's like a remaster that's coming to the
N64. This is the thing. There's 2 different versions coming. There's a version that's coming to the Xbox, which is the remastered version.
Okay.
It never came out.
Oh, okay.
But finally. That doesn't have online play from what I'm hearing. But the Nintendo 64 one is updated with online play. So it's weird.
It's weird, but hey, it is what it is. Nintendo's lucked out. I think that would definitely help Nintendo's I heard that their expansion pack, their sales hasn't been that great for the expansion pack of the Nintendo Live service.
The emulation of the N64 originally was really bad too, so that didn't help. I heard they improved it. I don't have it because N64 and first of all, Sega Genesis being on that is dumb because first of all, there's too many ways to play too many Sega Genesis games anyway right now. So it's like that's not really a selling point. And N64 is great.
Saturation.
The funny thing about N64 is, as good as it is, I feel like every game that's been on it has, in some form, either been re-released or is a better version of the game out there exists for N64. Like every single game except maybe your Jet Force Gemini, because no one cares about that. But
what?
But it's like you say, okay, Mario 64. It's like, yeah, everybody likes Mario 64, but these other Mario games are better. I'm sorry, I'm over. Like Mario 64 is great, but I'd much rather play Galaxy or even Odyssey or anything. I'd much rather play that. So I don't know. I feel like with the Goldeneye thing, it's just very weird. I think they're the same game. I don't know. It has to be licensing reasons.
You know what it is? I think before the licensing was so expensive and they couldn't come to an agreement with all the parties. But I feel like the James Bond brand now is probably at a kind of, I don't want to say standstill, but they're kind of like at this waiting period where they're like They're rebooting it, but they're not really sure where to go. I know I saw No Time to Die, which was a great movie. I don't know. I think they did good in the box office, but probably not as well as they wanted or they thought it was going to. And also, I'm sure it's also affected by, the pandemic as well. So that's probably a thing. So I think maybe now they want to kind of generate better buzz for the brand. So they want to get some younger people into the brand. So they're probably like, all right, you know what? We can come to an agreement on whatever. And,
I hope you're not saying that they're re-releasing Goldeneye to get to younger people, because no younger kid is gonna care about Goldeneye.
That's the thing. I don't think I we care about Goldeneye.
It's the nostalgia people that care.
I feel like because I feel like exactly. I feel like we're gonna be appreciate a lot more, but I also think maybe it's also a good way for other young people to play who don't have you heard about it, because
have you met young people today?
I know. I'm honestly, the game is it's over 25 years old at this point, right?
It's not Fortnite, and it's like archaic, right?
Yeah, it's very archaic. Yeah, mm-hmm.
They could be curious, but I think they'll play it for like 10 minutes and be like,
yeah. I mean, it gets the name out there. GoldenEye, James Bond. I feel like it definitely may help with like the recognition, and I think and that's personally, I think that's what it is, because I'm like, out of all the times, after all these years, they've been trying to get this thing going. Why now? And I feel like now that this franchise is where it's at,
well,
it's kind of like in its waiting period, holding period.
Here's why now. I'll tell you why it's why now. This is kind of with the Tokyo Game Show and just in general. I literally think we are kind of getting ready to experience a somewhat silver to golden age resurgence of games. There's been a lot of, I think developers are finally starting to understand that they don't have the same amount of leniency with fans like they used to. Mm-hmm. Like they could just do whatever. And we've seen that.
An example.
So this is a great segue into the Tokyo Game Show stuff that I wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. The two companies, Capcom and Konami. Konami had fucking pretty much pooped on the game industry and kind of left. They just made pachinko machines and shit. They had, they said, oh, we're going to make Metal Gear. What's that bad Metal Gear game?
Survive.
Because we're just going to take this engine, we'll throw out bad transactions. We're just going to make bad shit. And all they've been doing is making just terrible. And then they stopped kind of making games. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they released some under the, like, not under the cover, but they released some collections for Castlevania and Contra that were really good. I don't know how well they did, but then they started kind of poking around saying, we're coming back. We're coming and we're making the games that you guys want. So the fact that, like, out of all the franchises, they have Silent Hill, they have all these other kind of fans that are probably going to come back. Castlevania is probably going to come back at some point.
Definitely.
Now, me, they re-releasing Suikoden.
Oh yes,
Suikoden 1, and it's not just a re-release; it's a remaster. Mm-hmm. It's redone artwork, redone dialogue, because the original translation was insanely bad, misspellings, sounds that wouldn't play, things like that. But Suikoden 2 is one of the best RPGs ever made. It's just this, and once again, I think why I say best is not only for like music, but these are games where I remember the story moments as what makes it power. They're powerful. Like you hear things like a tale of friendship. This really felt like a tale of two friends on kind of the opposite sides of ideals. But at the end of the day, we're two friends. One did one thing the one way, and it really does well. Suikoden 1 is a little bit more straightforward, but Suikoden 2 really does great characters. I just can't wait for that. And the remaster looks great, widescreen. They kept the sprites and stuff similar, which is great because I think the sprite work.
I heard they also redrawn too. Like they look similar, but they're redrawn.
They might have redrawn them just so they look good. But what they really redrawn, Suikoden 1 had terrible character portrait art. Like I don't know who did it, but they had the same person. I feel like no. They got a different person for Suikoden 2, but Suikoden 1, I remember I played Suikoden 2 first, and then I went back to Suikoden 1, and I was like, these characters look ugly. Like the sprites look great, but the character portraits just looked awful. So they redrawn all of them, and it's a lot of work because Suikoden has over 100 characters in each game. This is like you recruit them, and each Suikoden you build a castle and you progress through wars and regular RPG stuff, and you can do fun things in your castle. The more people you recruit, it's really fun. It's really so the fact that they're releasing 1 and 2 as a package together, because they also are story-wise kind of they link into each other. And Suikoden was one of the first RPGs on the PlayStation where you can carry save data from the first game to the second, but it had to be very specific. You had to find everything in the first game in order for the transfer to work. But I did that, and you get some really cool unlocks, and you get expanded dialogue from characters because they know about talking about the previous events, because it takes place 3 years, but it's mostly different characters in the new games, but they are all affected, and whatever. But the fact that Konami is even doing that, says, okay, we're listening. We understand what people want. At least,
it's surprising, considering that it's a video games are a $1 billion industry. It's crazy how they kind of like left up and dropped out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Pachinko does very well. I'm not really. They sure had to do well. So if they had to leave, and also too, I know they had some fitness centers at some point. I don't think they do anymore, but I heard they had like some Konami-based fitness centers or branded fitness centers or whatnot. So it's surprising to see them just kind of leave. And video games is
how they left. They basically fired Kojima, and then destroyed his franchise, and then said, "Fuck it, we're just."
And it's like one of those things where now they can't really release a Metal Gear game because it's not. You really can't do it without Kojima.
They know, so people know it's not going to be him. Yeah, people know it's not going to be him. So they could release a very good Metal Gear game, but it's not a Kojima Metal Gear.
It would have to be. I think at this point, Metal Gear would just have to be a whole new type of series. Like it would have to be like from the ground up. Like no more Solid Snake or anything like that. Yeah. I feel like there's such an attachment, and there's such a tie to these characters and Kojima, especially like Solid Snake. I know voice actors don't live forever, but David Hayter was Solid Snake. The fact that he's still alive and kicking, has a great fan base. A lot of people resonate with that voice. What I mean? Like that voice is went on for generations. From PS1 to PS4. And I feel like sometimes companies take voice acting
PS1 to PS3.
Sorry, excuse me. Yes, PS3. You're right.
PS4,
that.
We got Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland, which is weird, and it just sounded like I'm not saying
story-wise, it kind of makes sense, but
it's just not the same when you see a character like Snake and you hear somebody else's voice.
Kept you waiting, huh? And then you hit, then now it's like kept you waiting, huh? It's like I don't know.
I kept you waiting, huh?
It's like I don't know. David Hayter is always Snake. Like you can't.
Yeah, he's forever Snake, and it's just like at this point, I think it'll benefit them starting anew, because that way they don't carry any of that baggage. Because no matter how good it is, people always compare it to the other one. Say, I think the other one is better. You know what I mean?
And I'm all for them taking a risk and trying to make one. Like if they put good effort behind it,
maybe they can make Metal Gear Survive 2, right? Maybe they try hard.
No. Or make a game in a similar vein of it. Don't call it Metal Gear. I don't know.
Yes, that's tough, because I feel like these companies are just so tied to IPs.
They are tied to IPs.
You know what I mean? So it's like, in a way, it's like, I don't want this IP to lapse or people forget about it. So I think it's either just to do a Metal Gear with a different type of vibe and then just take it from there. I mean, even though like some people might complain about that as well, it's better than trying to continue with these same characters and then, not have that vision of the person who created it and just have fans hate it.
Let me get right back to that Suikoden point, though. Funny thing about Suikoden too is 1 and 2 coming out too is it also could be a reaction to the original creators of the project went on to make a crowdfunded game called Yuden Chronicles or something like that.
Yeah, it was also on 3DS, right? We talked about that before.
I don't think it's on 3DS.
Oh, you know what? No, it's not. I saw it on Amazon.
So this game, it just released a prequel, which is like kind of an action adventure game, which I have it, but I played a little bit of it. It's pretty good, but but the main game is literally a Suikoden 2 clone, like 6 characters in battle. crew over 100 people. You probably get a castle. It's two friends that look like they have different. The graphics look great. It's doing that retro, that 2D, 3D thing that like those games are doing now.
Yeah, like some triangle strategy.
Like triangle strategy and Octopath Traveler. It looks like that. Yeah. So it looks gorgeous. So it's almost like Konami might have said, "Oh, wait, people actually like this kind of," because it was once they announced it, it was like the highest backed Kickstarter game of that year. So Konami probably said, "Oh shit, people like Suikoden? Oh, okay, let's get to it." So that's probably one of the things. Let's move over to Capcom. Now we talked about Street Fighter 6 before, right? Remember we did the whole leaked character things. Yeah. Have you watched the trailers for this game?
This one I haven't seen the recent trailers, but I've seen some of the gameplay fighting. Like I've seen like Blanca and
oh my god.
Yeah.
I have to give, this is what I mean when they say they I feel like at least they're listening, because the difference between Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6 is more than night and day. It's ridiculous. When Street Fighter 5 released, it had 16 characters, which is fine. You know you're gonna get 30 more down the line. It released 16 characters. It had only a versus mode and an online mode, because they were positioning it as an esports game. And it had a survival mode, but no arcade, no story, and that stuff came later. And it was just a dud. It was just like, unless you want to play online and play against people, that's all it was. And the game was still fun, but like it was such a bare bones release that was to me it was embarrassing.
Yeah, especially for a marquee game like that.
Street Fighter 5. This is not some other series. This is you expect that, like, it may be a King of the Fighters might release bare bones like that. Or Street Fighter, no. It shouldn't be like that, because Street Fighter 4 released with everything under that at the time it could.
I was a juggernaut. They went hard.
They revitalized fighting games.
Yeah.
Street Fighter.
They really went really hard. They're like, no more 3D, escape. We're doing it old school style.
Yeah. Now this Street Fighter 6, they are blowing it out the fucking water. It's like they literally heard everything. First of all, the graphics, the characters look incredible.
Great designs.
Great designs, redesigns of characters. The music, kind of this techno but hip hop thing going on with this spray paint kind of motif going. It looks amazing, but visually, the energy about the trailers. Then they show the world tour mode, where you create a character and you run around Metro City fighting random other characters. You learn from Ryu and all of them. They're like in the area. So there's this whole big looking story mode where you can just throw fireballs randomly wherever you want, and when you fight, it gets to the 2v, the 2D style with so there's a whole big story mode. And that didn't have to be good, but it's there. You know what I mean? It's something to do when you're not, Then they introduced some kind of ultimate like mode where there's like stage hazards and stuff. There's all these different modes of like knockdown. Instead of beating a person till the life runs out, it's about them hitting the floor more than you, like 5 or 6 times to win the round. The characters, from what people said, felt expansive. They have a lot of different creative ways to fight the system, but just the content of it. It's like there's an arcade, like how they do online is how I thought some games should do, where you have your avatar, you can go sit at an arcade machine and play someone like that. But let's just throw in more shit. You can play Final Fight. You can play other Street Fighter 2. There's other little games in the arcade.
So you're telling me that they allow you to play the actual old school games?
Yes. Now I don't know if you can play with somebody, but they are there. They're in the arcade, and you can play
with no other fee.
I don't know if there's fee. I don't know if maybe you might need some in-game currency or something, like you might earn or something, but it's there. Wow, that just shows it's like, we're throwing shit in here. Knowing that you can't, the character roster is great, because they automatically are like, okay, we know people love the original 8. They gotta be in there. Let's not bullshit. Where Street Fighter 5, E Honda was the last one to come out of original 8, and he came out like 4 years later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like literally, he came out like season 4. They're like right off the bat, you're eight, but they also did very interesting. Their looks are great. Like they finally showed like Ken. They did something interesting with Ken. Ken is now, people are like, maybe he's homeless Ken. They don't know because of the way he looked, but he was framed for a crime, so he's on the run. That's the kind of thing.
Fugitive Ken.
Fugitive Ken, really.
Yeah.
So you got Ken. Cammy looks great, short hair. They just did so many things. Ryu, I think, looks really good. Like
he has working it.
He has the Goken thing, like of his master now, kind of that thing. And one of the things I appreciate the most, and some people didn't like it, but go listen when you get a chance. Go listen to his Ryu's theme from Street Fighter 6. They're not doing the old classic themes anymore.
Yeah,
because how often can you do that at this point? It's been, so but his theme is almost like a representative of what this game is going to be. It's exciting, it's new, it's fresh. It's like you got to check his theme out. I think it's great.
I mean, it looks great too. I mean, honestly, like we spoke before. The designs. Like I saw the gameplay footage of Blanca, and he has like this new move now. We can throw like a
little toy, and electrocute it, and then and
he has like this. Is wearing like I think the game is visually. I think it's gonna be
it's
gonna kill it this generation. Like, I feel like it's the same thing that Street Fighter 4 did for the Xbox and PS3 generation. I feel like Street Fighter 6 is gonna do for PS5 and Xbox Series.
And X. At least, and to me, it shows like they're at least trying. Like, even if it doesn't do great or something, it can't be like, sometimes things just don't work out. But at least, like, to me, I'm looking at like they put an effort behind this. They're not just shitting on it. Like sometimes in Street Fighter 5, there was just silence for a very long time. No updates of nothing. Just things were the online was terrible. They just didn't. This game, to me, they already said I think it's going to be rollback netcode.
Nice.
It's going to be so I'm already like this game's going to be it. However, then I saw, did you see the Tekken 8 trailer? That looked ridiculous. I can't say it looks better than Street Fighter. It definitely looks like more realistic in that style with the effects, but they're different art styles, of course. But man, did that look impressive. Like, geez, the fidelity in games it is kind of funny because you think Tekken 7 really launched like 7-8 years ago. It's a long, so that progress to now, I'm like, wow. I've never been excited. I'm excited for games right now, even with all my backlist and things. Like, I know now I can play Uncharted on PC, coming Uncharted 4, which I heard I know you're a champion of, but I've heard things of some people saying it's a little too long.
I feel like it's one of those games where you feel like the makers of the game knew they want to go out with a bang, so they make it a huge epic. But I still think it's good because my complaints about the old school. I don't want to spoil anything for Uncharted 4, but I feel like it kind of resolves a lot of stuff that I had, like the small nitpicks I had about the other Uncharted games. And I think this gives you on a bigger scale. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a little bit longer, but you never feel tired of it. You never feel like, oh my god.
Wait. What nitpick do you have about Uncharted 2?
Oh, all right. So to go in spoiler territory, I mean they're old games anyway, but I wasn't a fan of the supernatural elements. Those creatures. Yeah, I feel like
it became Indiana Jones. Like
he became in a weird way. I feel like he didn't need that. You know what I mean? Indiana Jones can do that. It works for that series. I just feel like it didn't work for Uncharted, and I felt like it took me out of the game when I was fighting all these supernatural things. And I won't say anything about Part 4, but I think Part 4 doesn't have that. To be honest with you.
Okay, so it's a little more grounded.
It's a little bit more grounded. I think the ending is a very nice. It's a good game. I feel like it's a great bookend to a series, even though they can make more.
I'm adding it to my backlog.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. It looks great.
Yeah, too. I gotta play it, and then I'm gonna play it. But okay,
I feel like the games of generation, are, even though we do have like a lot of remakes, but I feel like remakes are par for course at this point. You're always gonna have remakes and remasters coming out, and that's kind of part of the eco cycle of games at this point. But I'm very confident with games. I love some of the games that came out so far. Just thinking about random games off this generation, Returnal. What else? Deathloop. There's a lot of games out there that's just like, do you think this generation games are getting better compared to last generation?
No, let me actually. This is a whole another thing we could talk about, but let's save it for another podcast. Sure. But what I wanted to kind of what you were going to say, I'm glad you asked me because that's something that's been running around in my head. I think we've hit it. We're hitting a point where the games just aren't going to be much better. I think, like we talked about this before, but it's really now like I looked at a game. Like I could look at a game like Deathloop, which came out very recently, compared to Red Dead came out when 2017.
Yeah, 17. Yeah.
I'm playing that game, and it looks better than half the games I'm playing. You know, I know it's on PC and it came out a little later on PC, but it's still the same framework. It's just a better system running it. So I'm playing it on PC, and I'm like, this game looks like it just came out. Then you have bullshit like that Saints Row, that new Saints Row came out, looks like garbage, looks like trash.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And I'm like, so to me, it's like we're at a point where you can take a game from 2015 on, and you just have to enhance it a little bit, or you know, the systems back then could only run it at such a way. Now you know, more powerful hardware. It's like think of it this way. Besides gameplay systems, even looking at the new God of War 2, it doesn't look much different than the God of War, the other one. It has different elements. The kid's older and maybe different gameplay, but for the first time, it's not like looking at God of War 1 and then going to God of War like 3. You know, it's not. Yeah, I don't think games will be taking such a drastic like lighting and stuff. Yeah, but I feel like we're at a point where you can pick up a game that's 6 or 7 years old and it not really feel dated. Because Red Dead is like 5 years old, but it doesn't feel dated at all to me. It doesn't feel.
But you know what's crazy about these games too? You can always update them a little bit, adjust them just a bit. You know, if you want to re-release them at some point, and make them modern. You know what I mean? Like the key to like updating them isn't so great. Whereas before, like sometimes you have to do a whole overhaul in the game
of the engine.
Nowadays, you don't have to do such a huge overhaul. Maybe if there's an animation that's missing,
graphical fidelity.
Like, definitely, you can improve on that very easily compared to like creating whole new animations and whatnot.
So, for instance, they're re-releasing The Witcher for PS5. That I'm waiting for that update. I want to see how that looks. I've been trying to play Cyberpunk. That was another game I was trying to jump into. I restarted it because I don't know if I didn't like how it was when I first played. I didn't like my character or something. I replayed it. I'm trying to get a little more hacky in it, like doing the hacking stuff and things like that. So I don't know. The verdict is still out for me on that game. I haven't given it enough time. I want to like it because I love The Witcher. I don't think I'll like it as much as The Witcher, but you know, but I feel like maybe with this new now CD Projekt Red does. I'm still giving them the benefit of the doubt. They did a really good DLC. Like the Witcher DLC is good enough to be its own goddamn game. That's how much content it is in it. So this new, you know, and the things they added. So this new DLC that's coming out for Cyberpunk that they announced, maybe they'll get a lot of things right that they couldn't do before. You know, maybe they make the city feel a little bit more alive, things like that. I think they know
they're still really pushing the brand too, because I think they're having like a
Netflix shows out.
So yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think I will give my hats off to Project CD Red if they can turn it around and have Cyberpunk become a hit again.
Like, yeah, because I believe in them. I believe they can do it. I honestly think one of the biggest mistakes they did with Cyberpunk is actually making it first person. I think if they kept it third person, similar like to how they did The Witcher, I think because a lot of people were turned off by that. There's, you know, like adventure games and stuff. A lot of people like third person. They like to see their character. You know, if they had maybe some hybrid, you can do either or maybe or something like that. You know, I think, you know, because Witcher, I can't imagine playing a Witcher first. I know it's different, but playing that first person, obviously there's no guns. I get it, but something about being able to see your character, I think. A lot, you know, it's like Grand Theft Auto. You want to kind of have it like that, like
especially if you're customizing your character. You know, you want to see you want to see it.
Yeah, you don't want to have to go to a mirror and then you can turn on and then
or press pause to see your character.
Yeah, you want to be able to see it,
move around.
You want to see the clothes you wear, things like
that. I definitely understand. I feel like for character-driven things, you definitely do like to see the character.
You want to see
that perspective
that
just works for those type of games.
Yeah, so but we'll see what they do. The only reason I also brought that up too, oh god, so much, is you saw the Resident Evil 8 is coming out with a gold version that is gonna make you be able to play the whole game in third person, very similar to like Resident Evil 4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Crazy. And I saw the gameplay and I was like, this looks cool. That's another series that I have Resident Evil games. I've never played a single one.
Wow.
Never played a single one. I want to play them. Part of me is not. I'm not into scary games. That's one reason why I really want to play them. But I know 4 is so good. They're remaking that.
You never played 4?
I've never played any Resident Evil.
Wow, bro. 4, I mean,
I know 4 is the. If they got to play 1, it's that.
Well, but, yeah, it's everywhere at this point. You can play it on your phone at this point. But I don't think it's on the phone. But I think
there was some really bad phone versions. Yes, there were some.
Oh, there was. Okay, yeah.
There were some for the iPhone.
4 so much that's like
Yeah, no,
might as well call it Resident
everywhere.
4 at this point. But
it's like Doom.
It's funny. I have all the releases from 1 to I think except for up to 6. Is it 6? No, yeah, 1 to 6, and it's in staggered releases. Like I have the remake for the GameCube. I have the N64 version of Resident Evil 2. I have Code Veronica for Dreamcast. Resident Evil 4 for PS2, and then 5 Xbox, and I actually be 5 too. I'll be 5 and 4, which are like the most action packed ones so far.
Yeah, I have 4 and 5 and 6. I have Revelations. I have Revelations 2.
Yeah, but for the Game Boy Advance.
I got these things because they had this like a week ago. They had the whole series on sale for $30 on the computer. Like you go from the GameCube 1 all the way 2 and 3 remake, 4, 5, 6, all 7, all of them for $30. I was gonna buy them, but part of me was like, I already own half of them, and I don't want to spend $30 to get. Although I could have gifted those to somebody. But
what's funny too? These games. Another thing about games too. I'm just kind of going on random tangents. Yeah, sometimes you have games already, but because it's so convenient to have it in modern system, you're like, it's easier than having to pull this out.
I have Uncharted 4 for PS4, but I'm not plugging that in again. I have Persona Royale that I want to play, Persona 5. As soon as that comes out on PC, I'm just getting it because I don't want. If I get everything on PC, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah,
like everything. I've God of War on PS4. I have all that stuff that I want to play. No, I'm gonna rebuy. I got, like I said, I have Uncharted on PS4. I got them all. But it's part of me is like I want the better graphical experience. That's part of it. But also, God, just having a PC, which we got to talk about your computer. Did you put it together yet?
So here's the thing. Yes. Under your suggestion, I did get PC parts. I have not put it together. I started I put the motherboard together. I put what do you call it? The CPU into the motherboard already. I think it's just loading it onto the frame. What do you call it? Not frame. Where it houses the computer, the housing. What do you call that? What's the term for
putting
that?
it in the case?
In the case, yeah. I'm trying to learn how to put it in the case. I already put the power adapter into it.
Let me. Okay, so I don't know how far you gotten or what you stopped at or whatever.
Well, you know what? Listen, what we can do is another time maybe we can try to. I'll show you what I have so far.
Oh, we can virtually do it.
Too. Exactly. Like, I already did some of it, and
I did it. If I could guide Ray through it, I can guide you through it. Like Ray doesn't want to do anything, and I helped him put together like virtually. He just FaceTime me, and I can help you. I mean, really, the hardest part is you got the CPU on, right? You put on the thermal paste and then the fan.
Yeah, I put the fan already. I put the fan on top. It actually came with thermal paste.
It came with the thermal paste. Okay.
Yeah, so I attached.
So that's fine. Already. So you put that on. The fan's on, like in there, right? It's like on. You screwed it down and everything.
Yeah, I screwed the fan down. Yeah.
Okay.
So now I gotta say, as an aside, when you build your PC, it helps so much in understanding these parts.
Yeah,
because I'm like reading this part. I was watching some videos and reading some parts, and I'm just like, oh, this is what it does. Because a lot of times you take it for granted, like, oh, it's a computer, it doesn't work. Oh, it must be something else. But I feel like you have a better idea of what makes your computer run and what these parts mean. Which is, it's kind of obvious, but it's kind of cool when you.
No, yeah. And even when your computer starts to fuck up, you can tell what it is. Like sometimes I know now, like before I was looking at my computer and it would turn off, and I'm like, okay, that's a heating thing.
Mhm.
So what I realized is the fan, either I didn't put on enough thermal paste or the fan wasn't attached correctly or something. I went in, did that, it started working again. Or if you know it's a display thing, you know it's the GPU, you know it's the graphical thing, you know that's what the issue is. If your computer shuts down a blue screen a lot, might be the RAM. But you know all the stuff is, you know where it goes.
Actually, the RAM. Speaking of the RAM too, I have 16 gigs of RAM, so eight each,
two eight
ones, and I put it in. It's like it's very
dual
satisfying.
Channel. Don't put them in the next to each other. Put them one and then a space and then one. You don't put them next to each other.
Okay, I have to see how I had it, but
okay,
I'll take it. I can fix
it.
No,
it's a rookie mistake.
Yeah.
It'll work, but the channels run on skip. You put one slot in, you skip a slot, and then you put it in. Unless you only have 2 slots. I don't know how many slots. You should have 4. You should always buy 4.
I believe I have 4. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, you put one in, skip a slot, put one in. That's how it works.
Okay.
Trying to think anything else. Just once you do that and you get attaching. Once you get it in the case, then it's just putting all the little headers onto the motherboard and all that. And once you do that, turn it on. You'll once you get it there and it works. Oh. And it's so when you put it together yourself and it's so fast. And it lasts a long time.
Yeah, and then also too, what's weird about it is like, because the reason why I had to, for the audience out there, the reason why I had to like decide to get a PC is number one, Sterling's been raving about PCs forever, how it's much better. So I'm like, I've always wanted to kind of see that, but I'm just like, I was kind of slow to act on it. And then when my laptop crashed, I'm like, okay, now I definitely gotta try to invest in that because that's probably the better idea. So and
the good thing too is like the way PCs are, it's just you're always you can always upgrade them. So like you want, your PC is a decent, okay gaming PC. We, with the specs we got, but down the line, especially now that since the graphic market crashed, you can get the top of the end. Not that you would get this. Plus, if you got the top of the end, you would need to change some things in your build. But you would get a 3070, which would push your PC past PS5 and shit for $500. Now, before, I know it's a lot of money still, but like these things were $1,000 before. You couldn't find them. Now the people are trying to get rid of them so bad. You could even get a low end. I'm sorry, a high end low. No, how do I say this? A high end last generation card for low cost. You would get a 2080 Ti, which will more than do its share of 4K and ray tracing. Not like as great as like, but it's definitely on the level of like a PS5. You would get that for like $200, $300 now. That's how much everything's been crashing. It's crazy. Yes, it's ridiculous. Like, but I'm glad it's crashing. Like fuck the graphics card companies and shit, man.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
They knew what they were doing. But anyway, let's call it. We ran kind of long.
Yeah, I mean, we did good conversation.
This was good.
Various things, but definitely gotta do it again.
Yes. Let's not wait 2 months.
Yeah, it's like I can't believe it's been since July. That was crazy. I didn't even realize that.
Sundays is probably a good day for me.
All right, so Sundays it is. Let's just keep it at Sundays.
Right, let's do Sundays.
All right, Sundays. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this episode of the ABG Cast.
We were all over the place, but bear with us. We're getting our bearings.
And if you enjoy our content, just enjoy it. Like, subscribe, please comment. We love discussions and
and if you don't like anything, let us know. Let us know what we can improve on.
Exactly.
We are open to a different format or anything. Or
the one thing I miss doing on the channel, I gotta say, is doing live streams. I haven't done a live stream in almost a year, and I'm gonna have to get back into that.
Let's do it.
The live stream is fine. We gotta do some live streams together.
Let's do live stream. Let's do live game.
Even if you're playing the game and I can't, you play like what I would like watch and just on the game.
Okay,
you can do it like that.
That's fine.
I don't know, maybe for October we can start playing some Resident Evil games.
Wait, let me see which Resident Evil game. Yeah, Resident 4, 5, Revelation.
How about the first Resident Evil remake?
I don't have that.
I have it.
I can watch you play.
Yeah, and guide me because every time I play that game, I get stuck. I'm just like, I don't want to play anymore.
Guide you? Those games, I'm just gonna have to watch. You gotta.
It's like one thing. There's one clip I have to upload. It was when I was playing Streets of Rage 4. I wish he was physically there, or you was like at least on the screen with the comments that you wrote, because it was so funny that it's just like I'd be rolling. That laughter. I feel like I'll put up a clip of the video, like one of those YouTube shorts.
Because I don't remember.
It was one time we was playing, and you're like, "Oh, you wish you was Adam, huh?" or something like that.
I remember that. I remember saying that.
So, but I'm like, I feel like just because it's in the chat, it's just like it doesn't have that same feeling of you just saying it. But I heard it in your voice. I heard exactly as you said it. I was like, okay, I lost it. That's what made me laugh so much. So.
Man. Oh, you know one thing too before I go. I know I told you this too, but I pre-ordered the Sega Genesis Mini too.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it before I heard all the games that are on it. And I'm somewhat disappointed. There's some games that should be on it that just aren't. More like there's some Lunar games that like there's some good Sega CD games that just aren't there, like Snatcher and things that other people always talk about.
I think it's probably licensing.
Nah, I think because they're in. Yeah, maybe it's licensing, but like
Snatcher's licensing.
Some games like you're like they're in the Japanese one. Why? What? And they're English releases. They've had English releases here, and it's like I don't know. But I'm more into it just because I like these little mini systems. And now I got 2 Sega ones. So I'm kind of hyped about that. But we'll see when it gets here in November because that takes them forever to.
Yeah, I would love to see your opinion on that one.
Yeah, we still got to get our thing done. I don't care. We can.
We did have a podcast on it though. We did have a podcast regarding your thoughts on the mini. So I feel like that kind of like may substitute for that.
Okay, but we still got to put together some kind of video content of something of us, and doesn't have to be that.
That's kind of my dream. I know we're
dream. Let's chase dreams. Yeah. Come on,
let's do this. We're gonna definitely do it. Exactly. Again, I think the first one we can do is probably the most easiest one is the one with the PC because I've already recorded some footage of me putting it together. And I just kind of need your expertise in guiding.
So yeah, you let me know, and then I'll love to help with that. Okay, yeah. I know you'll play Resident Evil. I'm gonna play Bloodstained.
Okay, you can do that. Yeah, that sounds like
that's my kind of spooky horror Halloween game.
All right, sounds like a plan.
All right,
so let's have a plan for that.
Let's do it. All right, brother.
Buddy. All right, man. Have a great day.
8BG, all that good stuff.
ABG out. Enjoy your day, guys.
And all right, later. Time for football.